thought I would show you guys what I was doing as far as the carbon capping piece to this project was concerned. Like others, I went to Harbor Freight and bought myself a guillotine style paper cutter. I think it's a 15 by 18. It's 25 bucks, a very small investment considering how great it is for this process. Let's go over what the material looks like first. This is how it's coming from Glidertech. It's very nice, it's very consistent carbon fiber, and it's working out really well. What you need to notice though is it has a fabric back. This gold back is a fabric layover, and that would be the side that's going to go down onto the piece. So you want to cut this carbon fiber with the backing on it and not peel these off until you're ready physically to put them on the piece. Okay, otherwise you're going to get the sides mixed up. Does that make sense? So make sure we do that. You can cut this in any direction. It doesn't really matter. Just basically trying to fit the pieces that you're working on. So I don't know how this is going to work out as far as am I going to have enough. I'm going to have a lot left over, so I'm being as frugal as I can be with this process. So this might help you guys out a little bit, save you a little bit of material. It took me a while to realize or to figure out that this paper cutter process, it didn't work out real well at first. What I tried to do was come all the way up top here and cut it from here, and all it did was just explode the piece into little bitty chunks of carbon fiber. Let me show you what I'm talking about. So we're going to zoom in a little bit. Let's try to save some of this for you. That's what I ended up with when I did this. Okay, so we don't want to do that. Here's what I discovered. You're really chopping way up here with this piece. If you bring it back at least 8 inches or so, that's when it will actually start to cut. The cool thing is this one actually has a hold down. So once you get the piece positioned really well, this little piece comes down and it holds really well. So that's a cool little item. So I'm going to cut one of these for you. It's real simple to do this. I just took a rib that is the same, or a piece of balsa wood that is the same thickness as the ribs I'm working on. And all you really need to do is put those pieces over top. And there's lines on this board to keep everything square, so that helps you out. So you're basically just going to go one on top of the other until you get it lined up and you're really, really happy with it. And once you're happy, come down, the piece is held, and there you go. So we should be good to do the carbon fiber strip on this piece. Is that making sense? Alright, so what I'm going to do now is I'm actually going to try to show you how, at least my method of putting these on. Yours may be a little different, but this is the one I came up with. So let's give this a shot a little bit. I'm gonna try this on a kind of oddball piece, so you guys make sure I've got a decent view. Okay, so you guys can see what I'm doing here. I'm actually going to use this edge, and here's my plan. My plan is to miter the edges here to make a nice clean fit. The other plan is to not get any of this glue on top of the carbon fiber. Half of the point of doing this to me is the looks, and getting a whole bunch of glue globs and all that on here is just going to defeat the purpose. So we can do this without doing that if we just take a few extra seconds and a little forethought before we physically glue the piece on. Now, I've seen different people do this different ways. Some say put the glue on, glue the tip on, drip glue down, then glue it on, use accelerator, the whole 9 yards. I tried 3 or 4 different ways. This is the way I like the best, so it works for me. It's up to you guys. What I'm doing is I'm using medium CA, and I'm not using any accelerator at all. I'm having to wait a few more seconds for this to adhere 100%, but so far it's worked out really well for me. So let me show you my process. I've also made myself a little tool with a point a flat end on one side. It's about 6 inches long, which is longer than the piece itself that I'm working on. And I've got a little point down to, not a fine point, but a little point that I'm going to be working with to hold the section of carbon down. So let's give this a shot. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to take the backing off now. And we must remember, number one, don't have any, and I've already cleaned my hands, don't have any oils or anything like that on your hand, because if you do, that might inhibit the glue from holding. So I'm going to remember which side this is as far as which one we need to use. Now, obviously, I'm going to be using a miter cut, and I've got two pieces here. I've got one piece going this way, and I've got one piece going this way. So I'm going to have to miter those two cuts. So what I've elected to do is stay within the guidelines of exactly how I built this piece. So I need to miter this one in this direction, and all you really need to do is just hold it over the piece and cut it exactly the angle that you need. Okay, and now it's mitered for that joint. Okay, so I've got the glue off. I know which side I'm using. I make sure I set it down so that I know the bottom side is the good side. I put on a little CA. Now I've been using a respirator with it. When I'm using a lot of CA, I've got to keep it out of my face. So respirator and goggles for me. It's up to you guys. A couple pieces, no big deal. But if I'm going to be sitting here for hours messing with CA, that's just what I've got to do. So just enough to get a nice bead on top. Nothing major. Don't want to go over the edges. Okay. And don't want to make a mess. So at this point, all you need to do is lay the piece down. I lay it all the way flat. And here's the thing, we don't need to rush. If there's any extra, anything like that you're not happy with, go ahead and wipe that off. But you don't need to rush. This is medium cure CA. So I think one of the things we all have a tendency to do is, oh my gosh, I put the CA on now, I've got to hurry up. I'm not using accelerator here, so let's soak into the wood a little bit. We want a really good adhesion. So line it up to the piece, hold it down with your end, get it nice and square where you're happy with it, and then just put even pressure. Now I'm not bending it way over the front, not yet. I'm just holding this like a shoestring, really tight. And we're just going to hold it here for a few seconds. So like I said, I didn't use accelerators, so this is not going to happen in, an eighth of a second like it would with accelerator. But I've discovered the extra time to get things positioned and to allow this CA to soak into both the wood and the carbon fiber seems to be working a lot better for me. So now that I've got it adhered really well, and like I said, I've got some pretty good pressure on it. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to let go of the top. I'm going to use my flat piece, and I'm just going to push down all the way up. Make sure I got a really good solid piece. No glues on top. Anything that squirted out went down the sides to the side of the rib, and really nothing did squirt out. So it's still not set. And now since I've got this piece going, I'm going to go ahead and bend it over top of the rib and hold it for a few more seconds, just to make sure that I've got it all the way down as far as I can bent. It doesn't take but a few seconds, so it's not a big deal. Okay, there we go. No problem. So that's how I've been doing it. It's gone pretty quickly, and now I have the other piece. All I've got to do is miter this piece correctly, put it here, and we're going to have a nice clean joint there. So pretty easy stuff. It's going to be tedious. It's going to take some time. You're going to have some patience. But wow, what a difference it's going to be when it's done. So here's what this piece looks like before it was done. I've got it all sanded, I've got it all ready to go, and I'm pretty happy with it, but not all that hot. Let me show you the one I just completed. This is pretty close to the final piece. Might do some light sanding, okay? But as you can tell, no glue on top, no big messes, nice even stripes. Everything is adhered down really nice, really well on both sides. Okay. The other thing that I did was I've already kind of not 100%, but I've sanded the edges so they're nice and smooth, so they won't cut the covering. But the other thing I also did was I got rid of a lot of that what I call yellowing, or where it gets white, where the glue dried on the carbon fiber. If you use a little acetone, that stuff will go away. So I use that where you can tell here, where you can still see the white. You can tell I didn't use it there. So therefore, because it's going to be, in this case, it's going to be fairly see-through. I mean, it's going to have a color, but you're going to be able to see through this. So if I'm going to go to all this work, I want it to look as good as I possibly can make it look. So the other thing that I want you to notice is I put some extra supports on the stab. Okay, so that's the look I'm basically going to get. All right, and these supports are so when I'm trying to slide these things on and off, I'm not going to damage the tip as I'm trying to put it on. So I hope that makes sense. But I'm pretty happy with the end result. I'm really stoked about how this is going to look. I can't wait to cover it. But wow, I've got a lot more to do. So, all right, guys, onward and upward.